Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all fantastic. It is time for another installment of Friday Q&A. As always, if you have questions you would like me to answer for next week's Q&A, please put them in the comments below. All the usual links to support the channel are in the video description, so let's just get straight into it. Mario Draby Riffs ask, do I like Tremonti music and have I tried the Blue Guitar Amp 1 Iridium? I'll answer that in reverse order for you, Mario. I've not tried the Blue Guitar stuff at all. I really want to. I've heard some great sounds out of it. I like the approach they're taking, and it seems like a bunch of people are buzzed on it. Thomas Blug is fantastic at everything he does, so that is one on the short list of gear I would love to try. And I really like Alter Bridge. I don't mind Tremonti's solo album, but it actually turns out I think probably my favorite Alter Bridge song is one that Mark sings, and that's a song, Waters Rising. So yeah, he's not only a phenomenal player, he's prolific as well, and I would love to get a Tremonti signature PRS at some point because they sound and look amazing. This one comes from Mike. Mike says that when you get done listening to some King's X, listen to some Galactic Cowboys, and that is very good advice from Mike right there. He also asks, I use the Fractal LB2, which is correct, the load box, and I compared it with the Torpedo. Have I ever compared it with the Sir Reactive Load? I haven't. I kind of want to get a Sir Reactive Load though, just because, you know, having multiple load boxes is kind of useful and would be, I guess, useful in a recording situation and for doing amp demos and comparisons. And I know Sir now make an RL that has IR loading in it as well, and it's nice and small, so I should probably grab one at some point. This next one comes from Max Salas. Max says, for the poor man amateur guitarist, which amp emulator with effects to go for, e.g. the Line 6 Pod XT, the Hotone Ampero, the GT100. I still haven't tried the Ampero. I really want to do it. I think the closest thing I have tried is probably the NUX MG30. I think the 300 is the smaller one and the 30 is the bigger one, which probably seems backwards to a lot of people. They put out like a 4-rack space one. It'll probably be called like the MG3 or something like that. But that one's really good price. The Moore GE200 is pretty well priced as well. And I've heard some great sounds out of the Ampero as well. So I would probably go for one of those kind of companies because you can load up your own IRs, and that's going to be such a great way to kind of customize your tone, whereas you can't do that with something like the GT100 or the old Pod stuff. You get an IR loader to go with them, so maybe that's an alternative as well. But the all-in-one thing is, I think, a little bit better for workflow. And thank you to everybody who said congratulations to 60K. It's totally crazy. There's going to be some awesome videos dropping in the next week. Can't say too much about them, but I think some stuff that people are going to be really excited about. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for those over the weekend and over the coming week. And lots of King's X fans in the comments, which makes me so happy. You know, we're all here. We're all friends for life because of that. Okay, this one is from Konstantinos. 2 questions for the next Q&A. He says, don't know if you've heard of Mark Gallo behind the Atomic Amplifier software. I have. Mark's fantastic at what he does. He's come up with a new 1 million point IR convolution engine. I hadn't heard about that, so that's pretty interesting. I need to check that one out. Has anybody watching this checked that out? If so, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. And 2, ever listen to Ayreon Opinions? Yes, Ayreon are one of my favorite bands. Ian Lucassen is amazing. Can't say anything bad about them. I got into them when I was a teenager because I used to get a lot of like, you know, Inside Out music. I would buy a lot of their CDs. I think Symphony X were the first band on Inside Out I was aware of, and you know, I saw, hey, Russell Allen is on this album by this band Ayreon, I should check it out. And yeah, the Dream Sequencer album is still one of my favorite kind of more ambient proggy albums out there. Amazing. And Star One is fantastic as well if you just want some kind of, you know, good old-fashioned fun hard rock and metal. I love the sounds he pulls as well. I think he uses a Sansamp PSA, which just sounds amazing. So yeah, Ayreon, fantastic. There's your listening recommendation for the week. What better models than Ty Tabor and Alex Lifeson could there be? That one's from Peter Harvin. I think if you want to be a guitar player who, you know, plays parts that serve good songs and play your role in a band and not just be a a really good guitar player in an okay band. I think you're much better off, well, obviously Ty and Alex are really good guitar players in really good bands, but I would much rather be the okayest guitar player in a really good band than the other way around. So that's why Ty and Alex, I think, are unsung, because the bands are so good and the other musicians in the band are so good, it's easy to overlook them, but they are amazing, and great rhythm guitar players, creative part writers, and just great players and songwriters. What more could you want? Alrighty, this one is from Jay Martinez. For the self-taught players, do you have a recommended approach to building a chord vocabulary in a methodical or logical way? And a few people mentioned that they second this. Few things. Ted Green, chord chemistry is kind of the Bible on that sort of stuff. I really like his modern guitar progressions book, but it is a jazz-based thing. One thing I would recommend doing is, if you're self-taught, try to just link everything to intervals and building stuff from, if you know a major scale and you know how to generate triads, then work on sevenths and work on how you voice chords. I think that's probably even more important. Alan Holdsworth is one of my heroes, and his approach, which he came up with himself, is kind of worth investigating. And if you get stuck, find a good teacher who can kind of walk you through the basics of, I guess, just harmony. There's no shame in, if you've been self-taught for 10, 20, 30 years, in taking some lessons. It can be a great way to realize, A, you're probably a much better player than you give yourself credit for, and B, you have a lot of knowledge, working knowledge, that you just don't have the names for. So I find that a lot with people that I teach. I teach some amazing players, and they know the thing, they just don't know how to connect the thing to the name everybody uses for the thing. So yeah, the Ted Green stuff is great. And, learn some songs. That's probably the best way to go about it. And yeah, that's always my advice, isn't it? Like, learn some songs, and learn some songs with the chords that you want to use. So I would start, if you don't know how to play seventh chords, though, work on those, and work on major sevenths, minor sevenths, dominant sevenths, half diminished sevenths, and diminished sevenths. Augmented chords, they're special chords. Leave them for later. So yeah, this one is from Rutger. I recently got a guitar with the DiMarzio clip lock system. Did you ever have problems with it? I haven't yet. I've got one on my PRS SC245 and my McCarty, and they have lived on there forever. The only problem I have is I got the white ones, and they go this real kind of special yellow color, which is a little bit gross when you sweat on them a whole bunch. I need to wash them, basically. It's disgusting. So I've had any problems with them actually impacting the guitar, which is nice. And I have one on my JP, so that's a black one, so I doubt that one will get as kind of weird and crusty looking. This one's from Todd's Tropicals. Have I ever tried the Art SGX 2000 Express? I haven't. I really want to try that one. Robert Baker, I think, has a great video with that. I don't know if Nielsen's done a video with that, but I chat to those guys a fair bit, and the art stuff often comes up. So I think the SGX is just one of those things that you have to try at least once in your life, and I'm determined to try one. Alrighty, let's have a look. I do need a teleprompter, by the way. Thanks to Dan for that, because I'm looking this way all the time. You get to see the side of my crusty face all the time. Alrighty, where are we? How old am I? I was born in 1988, for anybody who's interested. So yeah, I still get to say that I lived through part of the 80s, which most people would agree is like the best generation ever. And I get to tease people who are like 10 to 15 years younger than me when they tell me how great the 90s was, and I'm like, it wasn't that good. So yeah, I'm born in 88. If anyone else is from the class of 88, weigh in the comments here. This one's from Hot Rod Sprint. Kemper Stage user here, and a humongous Rush fan. I like you already, Hot Rod Sprint. I'm a Fractal guy, but it'd be interesting to see your Rush Fractal tones. I would recommend, I feel like I just did a video not too long ago breaking down the chords from Limelight, and there is an amazing preset in the factory banks now called Limelight by Matt Picone. Shout out to Matt. I absolutely love Matt. Absolutely amazing player, genius sound designer. That's one of his presets, and it is scary how close that sounds to the record. It also doubles up as a pretty great tie table out of the Silent Planet tone as well. So yeah, I will try and work that one into a future video because I love the way that sounds. It's so good. Here we go. This one's from Steve Hawthorne. Band name Burning Dust. You're the feral kid from Mad Max 2. you may have caught me out there, Steve. That's what's everybody's favorite Mad Max movie, by the way, because I've watched all of them recently, and I think Fury Road stands up. Fury Road is pretty darn good, but yeah, 2 was pretty awesome as well. And quite a few people weighed in and kind of remembered where they were exactly when they heard the news about Dimebag Darrell's death. So yeah, that one kind of hit home over the week, I'm sure, for a lot of people as well. Should probably at some point learn to play some of that stuff properly and like do an Axe Effects dime tone thing. Just cause sometimes you want that tone, even though it is so, you know, I think you just have to be dime to really nail that tone. But yeah, it's pretty one of a kind. It's got character, as I always say. Character tones are where it's at. Listen to Dimebag for great character tones. This one is from Chaz from last week. Chaz was in a bit of a rut, and we said, hey Chaz, listen to some King's X and learn some songs, and basically just kind of weighed in and said he loves King's X. So yeah, it is my mission, my purpose, I think, to turn a lot of people onto King's X. And a lot of people have probably noticed how if you haven't listened to King's X and you've listened to Ragdoll and then you listen to it, a lot of it makes sense. I like to think that we're kind of like equal parts King's X, Whitesnake, and then like Alice in Chains or something. One of my friends actually said you guys are like you know, a happy version of Alice in Chains rather than an angry version, even though to me we play angry music. So yeah, Chaz, keep us posted with how you're going, and of course do not be afraid to jump in the video description, join the Discord server, and jump in the practice channel and let us know how you're going. There's a bunch of people who will be happy to weigh in there. Alrighty, and a shout out as well to all my awesome Patreon followers. We did a Patreon hangout this week, which was awesome fun. We will try to average at least one of those every month, maybe every fortnight or something like that, because I enjoy them so much. So if you do want to support the channel directly, everyone from every tier can join in on those hangs. So let me know if that's something you're interested in, or if there's any particular perks you would be interested in, and you can support the channel directly. It's great because the more people that do that, the more I can kind of do what I want and not have to rely on, you know, borrowing a whole bunch of gear or scouring, you know, to find stuff to get sent. I can just use that money towards buying stuff for the channel and improving the channel and buying pieces of gear which people are interested in, like Art SGX 200s. That is definitely something that is on there, and you're all legends, everybody who's supporting me on there, or for the people who don't skip the ads so I make a little bit of ad revenue. I really do appreciate it, and I said it last week, but I'll say it again. I love making content for this channel. It's so much fun, and it's so much fun because of all the people who watch it. So there you go. Last question for the week. This one is from Ben Peasley. Thoughts on the new Jerry Cantrell signature Les Paul? I am going to be honest, it looks amazing. I love wine red Les Paul customs. I love Les Paul customs. I love Jerry. But in my heart of hearts, I'm always going to associate Jerry with G&L, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to do that in the same way a lot of people are going to associate Kirk Hammett with ESP rather than Gibson. But to the people out there who are super fans, kind of like the Adam Jones Silverburst stuff, you know, it is really, really quite expensive, but if it means something to you and it's a good value proposition to you because of that, then by all means, go and get one of those, because there's only 100 of the Jerry Les Pauls out there. So yeah, I honestly don't have a problem with anybody doing this kind of stuff. My personal take on it is that, you know, there's guitars out there that are sitting in secondhand shops and people's cupboards and on Reverb and eBay that are just kind of waiting to meet the right person who's going to use them. So I think a good way to maybe develop your own sound, or push yourself to develop your own sound or style, is to find a guitar that is maybe a little bit different. For example, this guitar, you know, let's pull it off. I've told you the story about this guitar before, but I was looking for a new PRS in 2014 when I was in Dallas, walked into the store, tried all the fancy ones, was about to walk out, pulled this off the wall as a last resort, you know, pulled it down and went, and just went, this feels pretty good. I think I'm going to buy this one. Plugged it in. It was amazing. And it's been my main gigging and recording guitar ever since. And, you know, I think I've told so many people how great this thing is that now I can't find them secondhand because I really want a second one. But, you know, I watched a great video by Ryan at Plaguesight Studios during the week where he talked about like the song in the gear. And it's such a great analogy, I think. And yeah, you know, if you really want a wine red Les Paul custom in the association with Jerry Cantrell, go and buy one. Otherwise, kind of do what Jerry did, which was like find an unsung guitar and make it yours and develop your own sound from there. Alrighty, that is all for this week's Q&A. I'm going to go and play a bunch of Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD on my Switch for the rest of the night. I'm going to be away all weekend. There's some exciting videos that I've got scheduled up for all of you, so I'm stoked for you all to hear that. Thanks so much for the questions. Questions for next week in the comments. Have a great weekend. I will see you all next time.